One summer moment can change a child's life. Through Toys for Tots Give and Go initiative, your support provides books, games, toys, and outdoor adventures that spark curiosity, creativity, and a love of nature. Whether it's fishing, learning a new sport, reading under a tree, or playing with friends, these moments build confidence and lifelong memories. For too many children, those moments never come. You can help change that this summer. Visit toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots, delivering hope beyond the holidays.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Father Jim Drucker. Father Jim Drucker is a 45-year retired priest, Catholic priest, yes, a Catholic priest, capital C. He was the official Navy chaplain during Desert Storm in Afghanistan. He was there to help the soldiers. Father Drucker, good evening. Welcome to the other side of midnight.
Walter, it is fantastic to be with you on the radio this morning.
Now, Father Drucker, the reason I needed you on the show for a few minutes, besides the fact that clearly I need more coffee, is that I mentioned something you and I have discussed, which is there are no sedans. There are no automobile sedans.
Amen.
And a caller calls in and says, well, yeah, there's a sedan, the Cadillac CT7, CT6, CT5. Yeah, the last one was made in 2011. I said, yeah, the last one was made in 2011. There are no new sedans. Worse, the cars that are being made are ugly as hell. These hatchbacks, these SUV, the minivans, these are ugly. And then I stepped in it, Father. I went further, and I explained why, as a talk show host. I explained why only ugly cars are being made, why only 3-row, 2-row SUVs, minivans, CRVs, why they're being made. They're being made because at some point, at some tipping point, about 2004, 2005, American men no longer had any say in what cars were being designed and built. Not one man in America, not one, has ever said, yeah, I want a minivan. Never. I want an SUV. I want a 3-row one with the room in the back. I want that room in the back. No man has ever said, I want that room in the back. These are constructs by women. These are women constructs. And a point was hit where marketing people, design people, culture said, well, we're only going to listen to women.
Well, Walter, I got to tell you something, and it's amazing that you said that, and I don't know how this plays into it directly, but certainly indirectly, and almost directly. Many years ago, I only buy sedans because I'm older. I'm a disabled veteran from Desert Storm. I hurt my legs. I got needles in my legs at the VA every 6 months, thank God. And I find it difficult to get into an SUV or that kind of car, and I need a sedan. So I actually wrote a letter to the vice president of Lincoln. I can't remember her name, Joy Falatco was an Italian name, F-A-L-A-T-I-C-O or something like that.
Guilty.
And she actually wrote me back. He wrote me back and said, we're sorry, Father Drucker, thank you for your letter, BS this, BS that, pardon the expression. And then finally it ended, and I got a call 3 days later. I'm at dinner with a friend of mine up in Scranton visiting, and I get a call from her executive secretary, and she's apologizing profusely that we're sorry, but we will not be building any sedans. Now, keep in mind, what's terrible is that I finally have been able, at my age, in my early 80s, to buy a Lincoln that the bank owns, of course. And I got a sedan Lincoln. The last one I got was a 2019, and I just traded in a new car. They do not only does Ford not have sedans, but the Lincoln. Lincoln doesn't have a sedan.
No.
The Lincoln, a quality car for someone older that spent all their lives struggling, working hard, being in combat, et cetera, et cetera. I finally got it. and there's no more sedans. The last sedan they made in a Lincoln was a 2020, and that's it. And I understand, and my research have done, that General Motors does not make a sedan, American-made cars, Chrysler does not, and Ford Lincoln does not. Bingo. Every other car maker from around the world, not America, they make sedans. What's that say? It's terrible.
Well,
it's terrible.
There are two parts to it. One is, I say this is because of women. No man has ever said, I lust for a minivan. I lust for an SUV. No man's ever said that. Women say, I need the extra room in the back. Let me tell you, the trunk of a Cadillac until about 1980 was big enough to put in any of these SUVs. That's how big those trunks were. Right, they were enormous. And they were designed purposely to hide dead bodies. You could put 4 dead bodies in the back of those Cadillacs with the nice carpeting. They wouldn't even know a thing. But listen, I believe, too, the opportunity. Think about this. If any car manufacturer said, you know what, we're going to build a pig car. We're going to build a huge sedan, one that's very difficult to park, one that's hard to park, one that's hard to get into a parking garage. Just one manufacturer made one a year, just one model. It would sell out in an hour. It would be bought 100% by men, and they'd be fighting over the colors.
And isn't it amazing, though, that the president of Lincoln Motors was a female?
Well, it's not a well, she killed the phallic sedans made by Lincoln.
Wow. But listen, I make my point that as you get older, maybe you put some money aside, you have your pension, and you're finally able to buy a luxury car like a Lincoln, and they have no more sedans. It's very sinful. It's sinful. I'm calling it sinful.
Now, the other news that you need to be aware of is there are major sunspots and flares the past week that have already blocked out radio broadcast transmissions in much of the Pacific, west of Hawaii. Very serious, major flares. We're going to have on Dr. Sakai coming up in 6 minutes to share with us the information that he has about these major sunspots, these major flares. I believe they're satanic. What do you think, Father Drucker?
Listen, anything's possible. God only knows, because we're living in a very weakened world. The morality is weakening. Patriotism is weakening. Love is weakening. Faith is weakening. God is weakening. So only God knows. God knows, Walter.
But as a pulpit preacher, you guys have always said that spiritually and in terms of good and evil, things are always getting worse, haven't you?
Well, I would. Well, many preach that way. I try to preach on a positive side, but again, we have to preach in reality to bring people closer to God and their need to be with God, of whatever faith we may be. And it's difficult for ministers, rabbis, priests to really preach and realize that there's evil and realize there's good, and to preach accordingly. I preach more on the good side, Walter.
Of course you do, but I can't let you go there, because if you start talking about God, I'll lose every listener that I have. Let me go back to the horrible mayor of New York City, who put out his own decree today, which could send thousands, maybe millions of New Yorkers straight to hell if they listen to him, and they won't. He said, I can't believe he said this. He put this out on X, that New Yorkers should set their thermostats to 78. Like what? They should unplug. They should unplug appliances. They should unplug anything unnecessary, and recognize the fact that because of the heat and because of the all the air conditioners being on, it's very likely they could have a brownout or a blackout. And this leads to two thoughts. One, let's go to Gracie Mansion and see what his thermostat is at. I promise you it's not at 78. And the second thing is, again, we go back to the fact that the power grid should not be the same as it was 110 years ago. There should be no fear of losing power, no fear of losing electricity, because we did what? We turned on energy-efficient air conditioners. For the past 50 years, every air conditioner is supposed to be more energy efficient than the last one, and therefore every year we should have lower electric bills. We don't. And we shouldn't worry about brownouts, blackouts, and we do. Isn't this satanic, Father?
It certainly sounds like it could be. Certainly smacks of that.
Yeah, I mean, here's a man who's preparing his population for hell by telling them to live in greater heat.
Well, what little I know is I cannot believe that people would vote for this gentleman who certainly does not seem to stand for the values that I stand for and that many I know stand for. And I can guarantee you, shooting from the hip, that he's certainly not at a thermostat that's 78 degrees. I'm sure of that.
Guaranteed. Father Jim Drucker, a retired Catholic priest, a great friend of the show. This is The Other Side of Midnight.
The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.